Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Friday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we're going to have a great show for you tonight because we're going to get to author Anton Grosz, PhD, where we're going to talk about human consciousness, near-death experiences, including his own that is extremely profound. We're going to have a great night tonight in hour 3. Extra small Lee Strauss will be with us for a lot of fun as well. But first, we need to say hello to each and every one of you, including Kitty Cattywack in the gold medal position. Race Fan taking home the silver. Tim Mothman and his goatee with a bronze medal tonight. Race Fan, how you doing? Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show because you always wanting to go into a show about consciousness nice and smooth. So Mel, thank you for lubing us up as we speak. Trucker Andrew, nice to see you. Hi there, Road Flare. And who is next? Polly Roderman, nice to have you here. T-Bone, my man, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend, as we continue on with Roll Call. Roswell Alien, nice to have you here. Roswell Alien will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Pam over on Twitch, how are you tonight? Robert Lamoth and Necessary Dialogue, good to see you. Forrest Louie is here. Forrest Louie will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Cosmic Joe, Super Crazy, and Kurt M., thank you for joining us. Operation Shutdown, nice to see you. As we roll on down to Creepypasta, and I'm Hardcore on X. Thank you for joining us tonight. Signs of Life and Undead Jed, good to see you. Good morning, Skip Tamalu over in Denmark, and Little Cam on YouTube. So pumped up for tonight's show. Bench press 655 pounds, 38 times in 4.5 minutes. Kitty Cattywack, thank you very much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do nightly on this show. Thank you very, very much, Kitty. We appreciate you. East Coast Turnaround on X, thank you for listening on in as we continue on with our roll call here. Amy, how are you? Nice to see you. An oob to Joe's Main. You've got aliens. Yes, you do. Desert Rat, J Truth Seeker, and number 45 in your program, starting at left wing from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Janssen. Whoopoo, good to have you here as we roll on down on roll call. Algaray over on Twitch, bench press 400 pounds, 127 times as he's warming up. That's just his first set. Just his first set. He's going for 550 in set number 2. Scrolling on down, Matthew Goodka, thanks for coming on in. Vanessa, nice to see you tonight. Frankie B, good to have you here. Roll call continues here, and who is next on our list? Well, it's Jerence Carter, nice to see you. Julia F. from the UK, good morning to you, my fellow Commonwealther. Nice to have you here. And who is next? River Dogma, always a pleasure to have you here, brother. All right, moving on down. We say hi next to, let's see here. There's all of you. There's all of you. And We're caught up. Hold on 1 second here. We're going to get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Near-death experiences and human consciousness. Author, researcher, experiencer Anton Grosz is with us tonight. And we're going to get into his latest book. We're going to get into his experiences. It's going to be a lot of fun the next couple of hours. We are in roll call on our YouTube side in the studio. How are you? I hope you're prepared for a good show. Do me a favor, everybody. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. And don't forget after the show to leave a comment, because we're trying to rebuild. We're shadow banned like every other show in our genre right now. So help us build that back up. Richard Minnick, where have you been hiding, buddy? Oh, man. Good to have you here. Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do. And you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You could wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. We're going to get going here in 5 seconds. Do me a favor. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an interesting show tonight. Author, researcher, experiencer Anton Grosz is going to come on in to talk human consciousness and his near-death experience. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. We're going to follow that up with extra small Lee Strauss joining us for the Q&A. You guys ready? I am. Anton Grosz, PhD, is a scholar of the evolution of human consciousness, trained at the California Institute of Integral Studies, and a lifelong practitioner of phenomenology, the science of lived experiential reality. And raised in an intensely atheistic house, he rejected all forms of spirituality until the age of 37, when a profound near-death experience changed his entire trajectory of life. His passion and passage through the tunnel into the light opened him up to a deeper reality he never thought possible, igniting decades of study into human awareness, spiritual experience, and the mystery of what comes next. Since then, Anton has become an ordained Interfaith Minister, a hospice chaplain. That's a cool gig. That's much needed. And a dedicated guide for those navigating the threshold between life and death. If you want to check out his website, it's antongrosz.com. Grosz is spelled Grosz. Z for our American audience, but for the rest of the world, Z. Anton Grosz with a Z.com. Let's bring him on in, because I'm really looking forward to this. And I'm just going to tell you, before I bring him in, just close your eyes and listen to his golden voice. Oh my God, this guy has a voice for radio. Oh, Anton Grosz, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite. I'm truly looking forward to this.
We're really looking forward to having you here as well. And you know, you were telling me before the show that you were actually in a barbershop quartet for about a decade, singing and being the baritone of the group. Oh, I just want to hear you speak, my man.
Okay, but you just said something. Oh my God, I was not the baritone, my friend.
Oh, I thought you were.
The bass.
Oh, the bass. I apologize.
The low voice. That's the cool part. Yeah. No, it was terrific. Now, we were the Brotherhood, and we traveled around United States and Canada doing shows. And can you just imagine singing, partying, and getting paid for it as well? We'd start off the first half of our show wearing big hats and fancy suits. We call it sort of the mafia look. And our front man would hold up a pistol and he'd say, "My rod and my staff," pointing to us. "They comfort me." And, that got a laugh. We were a comedy quartet after all. And we'd sing our songs. Second half of the show, we had changed. We, the fellow who was our tenor, he was the head of a hospital, and he traded 4 hospital beds to a Benedictine monastery for 4 robes. And we went around in the monks' robes. We had now become a new type of brotherhood, and I was the front man at that time. And we would do things like, you know how a barbershop quartet sings without instruments, right?
Yes.
It's all a cappella. So we would have you start each song with a pitch pipe. Beep, you blow the pipe so that the quartet knows the pitch to start. And I'd be out front standing there in my friar's robe, and I'd blow the pitch pipe and nothing would come out. And I'd blow it again. Nothing. Bang it on my arm. Nothing. And I would just throw my hands up like this, put the pitch pipe in my pocket, and look up towards God, and just fold my hands and stand there. Now, there may have been 5,000 people in the audience, but you could hear a pin drop. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Well, spoiler alert, we would travel with a gong of a particular pitch, bong, and we would give it to one of the fellows in the chapter that hired us. And I'd tell him beforehand, go into the highest part of the balcony you can get to. And when you see me blow the pitch pipe and nothing comes out, and I fold my hands and hold it in prayer position, count to 5 slowly, and then hit the gong. And there we would be. The entire audience is panicked. Oh my God, what's happening? And suddenly, bong, the proper pitch comes from the heavens, and we started to sing. That's really good comedy as well as good barbershop singing. It was a blast.
Looking back at those years, you were so into. Excuse me. I all of a sudden had to sneeze there. I apologize.
Well, bless you.
Looking back at those years, you were very much into living a life day by day. You weren't very spiritual. You were quite agnostic. You didn't grow up around a church or anything like that. I mean, it must have been just a fun lifestyle, going with the flow wherever life took you for that part. I mean, that would be great.
Let me. You got something else wrong here, if I may, Dave. Now you missed on the baritone when I was a bass. I can forgive you for that.
Okay.
But you just said I was an agnostic. Oh no, I was a devout atheist. I grew up Jewish by birth, devout atheist is what we call the family. When I was 6 years old, my grandfather sat me on his knee and he said, God is the sum total of man's ignorance. We used to think the sun was God. Then we learned how the sun works. Then the sun isn't God anymore. Someday, humanity is going to know how everything works. Then there'll be no need for God at all. Now, when you're 6 years old and you hear that from your grandfather, you believe him, especially since he's the smartest one in the family because he wins all the arguments because he's the loudest. I thought it was because he was smartest. I later learned it's because he's the loudest. But, you believe this. And when your little friends in school say, but how would you know not to kill people if God didn't tell you? And, oh, Beverly, you just know you shouldn't kill other people. I don't need God for that. So, I believe there was no God. And my mother, my grandfather's daughter, said to me, if there were a God, which there isn't, but if there were, I'd spit in his eye for everything he allowed to happen to the Jews in the Second World War. So when I was growing up, Dave, I wasn't an agnostic. I was an atheist as far as you could get. Not only did I not believe in a God, but if there was one, he was bad. Now, I mellowed when I got to college and relaxed, just so as not to fight with my fraternity brothers. But I didn't believe a thing until my NDE, my near-death experience. And then it all changed in an instant.
We're going to get into your near-death experience at the bottom of the hour. I mean, considering that you weren't a believer, you were, very pro-atheist, shall we say.
Yeah.
Were you
Okay.
were you angry at God? Were you angry at religion? How did that work?
I wasn't angry at it. I mean, all these people, they just, faith. What is faith? You can't prove it. I was a scientist. I mean, science makes all the sense in the world. You prove things. And, if it's right, if it's real, you can prove it. If it isn't, hey, you can make it up. And this is what religion was all about. So I personally didn't have anything against anybody who was religious. I just felt, what a waste of intellect. What a waste of mind to say and that there's some great being, with a beard. Probably a beard somewhat like yours, I guess.
Love it.
As a matter of fact.
Well, you know what? If you were here, I'd let you give it a tug. The beard, that
Ooh.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a little tug, it works. I love the fact that you had a major spiritual awakening because for so many people, myself included, these spiritual awakenings sometimes seem to hit you like a sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Explain when that happened to you, that incident, without getting into the incident, because I want to save that for the next half hour. But when you realized after the incident that you were having this impactful change of destiny, what went through your mind at that point?
What went through my mind was, oh my God, why did it take so long? Why? What? I was 37 when this happened. All right, that's oh my God, 54. Oh, well, a long time ago. I'm 85 now, but I was 37 at that point, and I remember sitting on the sofa, crying my eyes out, Lord, Lord, why did I have to wait so long to find out that you really exist? And the voice inside said, hey, if you'd known this all from the very beginning, how could you share this information with anyone who didn't already know? You've been on both sides of the river. You've seen it with and without. So you can relate to this and share with anyone, whether they believe or not. That's why you didn't get it until now. And I kind of knew what my calling was, to share the information I had. And as a phenomenologist, which I am, all right, the science of experiential reality, I knew that my role was not to just write about or talk about spirituality, but to use my, quote, scientific skills to create games, puzzles, exercises, etc., that allow people to experience universal oneness for themselves. And that's what my book is all about. It's not saying anything that has never been said before. It's been said for millennia. But it is about games and the individual experience that people can have.
What is it about the human brain that absolutely intrigues you?
What is it about the human brain that absolutely intrigues me? It's a fact that we don't understand what it's all about. Scientists, and of course, this is something I never would have thought of before, having experienced what I have. But we know that brain and mind are connected, right? Humans have larger brains than dogs, who have larger brains than frogs, who have larger brains than slugs, et cetera, all the way down the line. And our minds are parallel to that. Human minds are larger than dogs and frogs and slugs and so on. And science seems to believe that the larger the brain, the larger the mind, because the brain creates the mind. And therefore, that's why humans have more. What I have realized, and what I teach and write about and that people experience, is what if the larger the brain, it doesn't create mind, but it opens you up more to a consciousness that is already there. So a slug has a very small brain, opens up, just gets a little bit of universal consciousness. Frogs more, dogs more, humans more, probably whales and dolphins even more than us, but we don't need to go there now. But the fact that, yes, mind, the size of the mind and the size of the brain still are related. But in new consciousness, the new way of viewing things, it's not that the brain size creates mind, but opens up the holder of that brain to even greater understanding of absolute universal consciousness. That's the direction we're headed, I believe.
How has your life personally changed since you had this epiphany back in 1978?
Oh my goodness. Well, first off, I found out who I truly am. I am not this piece of meat. All right. I am not this body. I have a body. I'm not my thoughts. I have thoughts. I'm not my emotions. I have emotions. When I ask you or ask any of your viewers and listeners, tell me about yourself, they'll start with, well, I am. And when they say that, they're speaking truth. I am. And then they'll add all these adjectives that make them unique and different. I am male, female, old, young, black, white, rich, poor, blah, 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 whatever it happens to be. Sure, these adjectives are what make us unique. How boring it would be if we were all exactly the same. But who I am is the consciousness itself, existence. Think about this, Dave. Look at yourself in the mirror. All right? There was a time, believe it or not, when you did not have a white beard, when you didn't even have white hair. You had probably hair color. You were a young man, and so much about you was different. Your thoughts were different. The things you knew were different. Your looks was different. But the feeling I am was exactly the same. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? The feeling of being is exactly the same. Everything in the universe changes except the pure consciousness, which is always the same.
Realistically, I'm 52 years old, looking at about 98. You look much
What?
younger than I do. Yeah.
Oh my God, you could be my kid. In fact, you're younger than my kids. Oh,
Yeah. Don't let the white beard fool you. Right.
oh, okay.
But it really is the power of the mind. I mean, I don't think of myself as 52. I still think of myself in my mid 30s.
Well, yeah, I'm not in my mid 30s anymore, but I don't think of myself as 85. I remember, when I was a teenager, thinking, "Oh my God, when the millennium changes and it turns to the year 2000, I'm going to be 60 years old if I even last that long." Man, that was 25 years ago. That was a quarter of a century ago. I can't believe I'm this old, but I'll tell you something. I love being this old. I am so free, Dave, to do what I want. I can read a book without having to write a book report, right? I can have dessert without eating dinner. I can do what I want to do. If I can wake up when I want to, well, except for going to doctor's appointments, but that happens as you get older. But other than that, I'm free to do what I want. And as long as I can tell you this, by the way, I am living the life I wanted to live from the very beginning. I was 8 years old. I told you already something that happened when I was 6.
right.
At my 8-year-old birthday party, my Aunt Claire asked me, "What do you want to be?" And I said, "I want to be happy." And my mother's walking past. She says, "You can't be happy. You've got to be something." Well, I disagree with that. I think that the whole purpose of life is joy, is happiness. And at the older age, I don't have to go to work. I don't have to do things I don't want to do. I can truly be myself and be happy. And that, I believe, is the goal of all of God's creatures. Look, God didn't create the universe because his mother said, "Get off the couch and do something, you lazy guy." The universe was created because of the pure fun of doing it, the joy of taking a thought and turning it into that. But that's another story.
Anton Grosz is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. His website, Anton Grosz, Grosz, or Z, depending on on how you want to pronounce it, .com. You get his books there. Find out more about consciousness, his near-death experience, which we'll get into next on Spaced Out Radio. That's a great start. That went fast.
Good.
Vanessa, what is a Z? In Commonwealth countries, we pronounce the letter, you guys pronounce it Z, we pronounce it Z. You having fun?
Yep.
Good.
Am I doing okay?
Yep. You know, it's I loved how you ended that half hour with that message from your aunt. My stepdaughter, when she was between the age about 7 and 12, every day I would come home from work. I'd be, hey honey, how was your day? And she would be like, it was the best day ever.
Good.
And as an adult who came from a very negative family, I remember saying to her one day, how could today be better if yesterday was the best day ever? How could today be the best day ever? And she gave me the simplest answer, which was, I don't know. It just is. And I remember, as silly as this sounds, I remember getting angry over that.
Wow.
I didn't get angry at her, but I kind of walked away, and I remember, like, what a stupid kid. Like, why would every day can't be the best day ever? Like, when's she gonna come into reality? And then a little bit later, like a few weeks later, I realized I had it all wrong.
Yep.
That she was teaching me something.
Here and now.
And so I have kind of tried, and a lot of times unsuccessfully, to have the best day ever. You know, and the one of the things that I've learned, as like, I'm very open. I suffer from depression and anxiety,
Mhm.
and I'm open about it because no offense to the lovely women out there, but for men especially, we have a tough time talking about that publicly. So I always mention that I do, because it may help somebody who
Mhm.
who doesn't want to discuss it. Let them know it's okay. And I realized that over that time, in trying to live as the best day ever, it's so easy to compliment someone.
Mhm.
Just, your hair looks beautiful today. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for talking with me. Whatever it may be. Because I think, not to sound philosophical or holier than thou, okay, because sure as hell I'm not. But that compliment, that instead of going, if somebody says goodbye, I got to go, instead of saying see ya or something like that, tell them thanks. Thanks for today.
Yep.
You could be changing, even if it's a complete stranger. They may need that at that exact same moment, and then you become that person's angel.
Mm-hmm. We'll get into that. We can build up actually from that.
Sure.
From that where we close, and I'll tell you my 3 rules of life.
I love it. I love it. Let me say hello to Mr. Cowley. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Attorney at large, Michael Morris. Nice to have you here. And who else has joined us here? Number 1, the gorgeous, the talented, the lovely Nicole Sakic. And who else is here? Oh, scrolling on down. I think we're caught up again. All right. We have about 45 seconds.
How many people are on right now?
Watching on YouTube right now, we have 98. There's 34 on X, 1 on Twitch, and there will be a couple 100,000 on our radio stations.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Nicely done, Dave.
Thank you. All organically grown, which is nice.
Yep.
Nothing given to me, just all organic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got 12 seconds. Thank you, Matthew, T-Bone, Pam, and Kitty for the super chat. Richard, thank you for joining our membership on YouTube. And here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into a great near-death experience with our guest, Anton Grosz, coming up momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the guy who wears a lot of tinfoil and trying to make it a fashion statement. I hope you join me because I need more of you out there. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you know our archives are always free. Yeah, go download them for free on any major podcast network or watch it live on YouTube. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Anton Grosz. He is an experiencer. He's an author. He has studied the evolution of human consciousness. We're going to get into his near-death experience next. He's got a couple of really good books out. Handbook for a New Consciousness, Letters to a Dying Friend, What Comes Next? We're going to get into this momentarily. His website, Anton Grosz, Grosz spelled Grosz for our American friends, Z for us Commonwealthers.com. Anton, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure, Dave, and hi to everybody else. I wish I could see you. You can see me, everybody, but that's kind of unfair. I don't get to see all of you. But
yes,
nice to know
you. Get to hear your beautiful voice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like if you could have a voice crush on somebody, I got a voice crush right now. Oh, I could listen to you read novels.
Well, thank you very much. People have said I ought to do an audio of my book, but probably should.
Probably a good idea.
Get around to it. Yeah.
Right.
I did want to build on something, if I may. I think we ended the last segment where I was talking about my Aunt Claire talking about be happy. What I want to be, and I said I want to be happy, and my mom said, you got to be something. Well, a couple of things relate to that. First off, I want you to know that I've been married for 62 years. All right. And I proposed to my wife on our second date. And the reason was, aside from the fact that she was fun and very attractive and we had a lot of fun, a good time together. But on that first date, we sat across a table in a diner and she said, "What do you want to be?" And I was a grad student at the time. She was a sophomore in college. And I said, "I want to be happy." Same thing I'd said to my aunt. And I said, "And Phyllis, what do you want to be?" She said, "I want to live happily ever after." And I realized, oh my God, we're going the same place. Why not do it together? I proposed on our second date. She said, "You're crazy." But we were married 6 months later and have been married for 62 years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And just one other thing on this happy business. Really, it makes all the sense that I want to be happy that I said to my aunt, I really think it was the defining moment of my life. And I have made it part of my 3 rules of life. Ready? Rule
Please.
1. Rule 1, be happy. Rule 2, be kind. Rule 3, that's it. If you're happy on the inside, if you're kind on the outside to others, what else is there? What else do you need? Nothing that I can think of.
I love those rules. I do. I wish I could live by them all the time.
You can. You can if you want to.
Sometimes it seems so far away, my friend.
Oh, I know. Well, we can't change the world, but we can do our part. Let me tell you another little story, if I may. I lived in San Francisco for 30 years. And one day I was going down, taking the bus downtown. Early in the morning, it was commute time, and the bus was crowded. I was sitting in one of those long seats behind the driver, and there were people standing. There was the young woman standing in front of me who couldn't reach the hand grabber, belt up above, because everybody had taken them, they were all in use, and she couldn't reach the post in front, and she would go back and forth every time. Now, when I was younger, I would have gotten up and let her sit down, but I was in my 80s and she was in her 20s, so she can handle it better than I could. But I looked next to me, and there was the guy who was sitting in that seat next to me, in that side seat. He had a briefcase in front of him on the ground, right in front of his knees and his feet. And I realized that was in the way of this young woman. So I said to him, I turned and I said, "Excuse me, sir, if you put that briefcase on your lap, this young woman over here can step forward a little bit and she can reach that post, and it will be a lot safer when the bus starts and stops." And he turns and he looks at me and he says, "Like that's gonna solve all the problems of the world." And intuitively, without thinking of it, I said, "No, sir, it will not. But it will solve the problems in this little corner of the world." And he looked at me, and then he turned to the woman who was sitting at his left, and she must have been his wife, because she gave him a look like, "If you ever want to have sex again, you better put that briefcase on your lap," which he did. And the young woman in front of me took a half step forward, was able to grab the post and go travel downtown a little bit faster. Our eyes met, we smiled at each other. And I realized it's so easy to make life better. I cannot stop the war in Gaza. I cannot stop the war in Ukraine, but I can make life better in my little corner of the world. I can be kind to others. I can be happy within myself and smile. And when I smile, other people smile back and they feel better. Do you know, Tibetans, when you die, they have a scale that they say, you get a black pebble for everything you do, up in the bardo before your next life. You get a black pebble for every bad thing you did. You get a white pebble for every good thing you did. And they balance it, and depending which side has more pebbles on it, that's where you go in your next life, according to the Tibetans. But the cool thing is, if you do something nice, you get a white pebble. But if the person you did something nice to does something nice for someone else, you get another white pebble. How cool is that?
That's wonderful.
So you can start goodness. You can start kindness. You can start making it a better world right here. And just like a pebble dropped into a pool makes a ripple effect, you can have that effect by what you do. It's really quite simple. And it kind of feels nice while you're doing it. And that's my
It's very
story.
hard, but you know
Sticking.
what? I apologize for the pregnant pause there for a second,
Yeah.
but you know, we get so caught up in daily measures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, society has turned from, how you feeling today to how do you feel about this moment to try and get reaction. We've gone from action to a reactionary life. And like I tell my listeners all the time, like when they listen to this show from 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight Pacific or 12 to 3 a.m. Eastern, whenever they decide to listen to it, you know, we're allowing you to turn off for 3 hours
Right.
if you choose to listen that long. We're allowing you to turn off your brain and just listen. Like, one of the biggest compliments any listener could give me is, I fall asleep to you nightly. You know, and people are always sheepish in saying that, Anton, because they think it's insulting. But no, I did my job, because from the time people wake up this in the morning to the time they tune into this show, they are hammered with social media, politics, people trying to get action and reaction for clicks and everything. And people are becoming insolvent of each other.
Oh my God, absolutely. We are so into the other that we don't realize that we're all one. Excuse me for pushing my book, but this is what it's all about. New consciousness, the fact that we are all connected. Your I am, my I am is the same look. I've come up with this silly little thing. What if there were eyes on the end of the fingers? And they looked out and they saw the thumb. And they said, "You stupid thumb, coming from all the way over there. Take that, that." And they scratched the thumb, and the thumb got bloody and got infected. And the infection went up through the hands, back into the fingers. Do you think the fingers would have attacked the thumb if they knew they were connected? I don't think so. Well, that's where humanity is right now. We don't realize that we're all connected, and that if I hurt you, I'm hurting me. If I hurt the planet, I'm hurting myself, I'm hurting others. We have a new God. It's called money. And if the more I make, the better I do. We don't realize that hurting someone else, if I make a lot, so what? If I destroy life, for all beings, we just we put our emphasis in the wrong place. That's the problem, and we've got to change it if we want to survive as a species.
I agree with you. Totally agree with you. I want to hear about your near-death experience. What happened?
That's an interesting one. You recall that I was a devout atheist, didn't
Yes.
believe any of this stuff. Well, we had a very, very sad situation happen in our family. My sister's husband, a young man, died, and my sister found comfort and support through something called Siddha Yoga, a spiritual teaching. And my mother called me and said, "Will you find out what your sister's doing? she recognized the fact that my sister needed support and comfort, but to find it through spirituality, that seemed to be something that didn't make any sense to Mom. You remember my mom, right? And what she had said about God. Anyway, I called my sister. She sent me a book by Baba Muktananda, who was the founder of the Siddha Yoga movement. And it was about meditation and so forth. And I was, remember, a scientist. I try things, you try them. And I tried this meditation and I liked it. It calmed me down. Son of a gun. I mean, I may not believe all this stuff, but boy, I could find peace within myself. Because with the crazy, making a living, raising a family, all of that stuff. So one night, I'm in my 30s, and it's going to have a big day tomorrow. I'm exhausted. I want to get a good night's sleep. So I go downstairs into the, and I'm going to meditate like I learned in this book so that I can just get a good night's sleep. Simple as that. And I light a candle in front of me and I'm meditating on the candle. And for some reason, I exhale all the air out of my lungs. And I decide to hold it out. I just, I don't know why. I just did. And suddenly, about a minute later, I'm underneath the ceiling, looking down at the top of my head. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if that's me down there, who's this up here? If this is me up here, who's that down there? I took a breath, was back in my body, and I thought, wow, that was cool. I was not in the slightest worried or concerned. Oh, by the way, I heard what I later learned was called the music of the spheres when I was out of the body. It was incredible. I thought, I've got to do this again. And because I am a scientist, right? I figured, hey, I'll bet that I left my body like that because I didn't have any breath in my lungs. I'll bet a combination of meditation and no air is what produced that. So I'm going to do this again, and using my smarts, I'm going to stay out. Keep air out of my lungs even longer. I'll bet that'll allow me to stay out of my body for a longer period of time so I can really see what's going on even more. So the following Sunday, April 16th, 1978, my wife and daughter are in the car driving downtown to go shopping. My 9-year-old son is playing in his room. I decide I'm going to do this. So I go in my room, I lie on my bed, on my stomach, on my hands folded like this, on my elbows. I breathe in 3 times, out, let all the air out, and I vow I am not going to breathe in again until I leave my body. Now, I did not do anything stupid like put tape on my nose or mouth. I'm not an idiot. What I realized that if I became unconscious, the body would naturally take in air on its own. So I wasn't afraid of anything of that sort. So there I am, and I have no air in my lungs at all. And the hand of the clock goes around. And the hand of the clock goes around again. And I begin to feel a little bit uncomfortable, to say the least. I begin to feel like I'm in an earthquake, shaking in an earthquake. And then I feel like I'm drowning in a flood. And then I feel like I am burning up in a fire. Now, I later learned that according to the Tibetans, these are the first 3 steps of leaving your body,
Oh, wow.
separating from the earth element, separating from the water element, and separating from the fire element. The next thing they do is to separate from the air element, which I already had because I didn't have any air in my lungs. The only thing that was connecting me to my body was something that the Tibetans call the ether element, which sounds pretty nebulous to me. In any event, I asked myself, am I still conscious? Well, I'm not breathing, so I must be. If I were unconscious, I'd be breathing because the body would have reacted instinctively. So I still refuse to breathe. It goes around 3 minutes of no air in my lungs. I see a little white light at the top of my head. And it starts getting larger and larger. Now, I'd also read Raymond Moody's Life After Life, which was written in the 1970s and was the first book about near-death experiences. My wife's sister's husband had also died early from childhood disease, and so we had read that book, and this was the only spiritual leap I ever made where I thought, gee, I wonder if mind and body are separate, because the relationship between what was said about by Baba Muktananda about the spirituality and what was said by Raymond Moody, the doctor of all these people who had death return experiences, near-death experiences, seemed so similar. So that I accepted, but it was the only leap of faith I ever took. Anyway, there I am lying on the bed, all right, feeling this light, it getting larger. I said, this must be what people meant by going through a tunnel. And the people who he spoke about in Life After Life, I went through the tunnel, came out the other side, and into a light greater than anything I had ever experienced.
Wow.
There were no shadows, no anything. It was just an unbelievable brightness, a light, and an awareness of multi-dimensions. Dimensions more than just 3 dimensions in time. Dave, you familiar with a book called Flatland? It was written in the 1800s about a 2-dimensional world where people are squares or circles or triangles or so on. And one day a guy sees a circle become bigger and get smaller and turn into a sphere. And he tries explaining to his other 2-dimensional people what a sphere is. And they say, point to it. And he says, I'm pointing up. And they say, no, you're not. You're pointing north. Because even though he saw 3 dimensions, in their world, there were only 2. In my experience on that day, I saw more dimensions than the 3 dimensions we have available. No way I could show anybody, but
What did
there
you
they
see?
were.
What did you see? We got about a minute to go.
What I saw was just pure light. I fell off the bed. I thought wires pulled from my head. I rolling on the floor like an epileptic fit, which made sense because my mother and uncle had one in their late 30s, and I was 37 at the time. When I could finally speak, and I was on the ground. I finally, about 20 minutes, I went back in space. If I leaned my head one way, I was in the room the other way. I went back in space, saw Earth become small, like a yin yang, and I realized everything is balanced. When I could finally speak and control my body, my hands were clasped in front of me like this. I was on my knees, and I said, I am reborn. I am reborn in God. And I was so embarrassed to hear me say that after 37 years of being an atheist. But I knew it was true. I had experienced a greater reality than I had ever experienced in the first 37 years of my life. And it changed my life on a dime.
Anton Grosz, we're going to get more into your near-death experience. Thank you so much for sharing that amazing event in your life. AntonGrosz.com, Grosz for the Commonwealthers, Z for you Americans. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. You had me on the edge of my seat here, my friend.
Oh, I had me on the edge there too. It was an incredible thing. Have you had one, Dave?
No. I'm actually fearful of them, but I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to put you in the green room and we'll be right back. Okay.
Okay. I think I will do the same. If it's
Okay.
good enough for you, it's good enough for me. I'll see you in 5.
Yep. Be right back. back. And let's bring back Anton.
Okay.
How are you, my friend?
Very fine, thank you. I'm surprisingly wide awake for 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I told you we'd be having fun and this would go nice and quick.
Yes, you did, and yes, it is. Cool.
Let's give a quick shout out. Stargazer, how you doing? Nice to have you here. Les Paul, how you doing? Nice to see you. And who else do we have here? I think we're caught up. Thank you tonight to Kitty Cattywhack. Richard Minnick becoming a member again. Pam Harris, thank you. T-Bone for the super chat. Great to have you. Matthew Goodka and T-Bone gifting a super chat. Greatly appreciate the love and support, everybody. And Shadow Feather, how are you tonight? Good to see you. All right. Remember, you can go to cariboucon.com. cariboucon.com. Get your tickets, your VIP tickets right now. cariboucon.com. And you can come up here and take part in it. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we're coming back in 15 seconds. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you guys are too. And shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, will you? Great for Christmas presents, and we do not have ugly swag. Here we go. We're into hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us as we love bringing these great, strange topics to you each and every night. Our guest, Anton Grosz, will join us momentarily talking about his near-death experience. But first, we want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Basemain. Basemain is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's get to our guest tonight, Anton Grosz. He is an author. He is an experiencer. He is someone who researches human consciousness, near-death experiences. We're talking about his own right now. But before we bring Anton back in, we want to tell you, you can find all of his books on his website, antongrosz.com. Grosz is spelled Grosz. Yeah, antongrosz.com. Anton, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Dave. It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invite. And that first hour sure whooped by real fast. I'm looking forward to this next one.
Well, thank you. And it takes a great guest in order to make it fly by. So the pleasure is all ours for making this a great show.
Thank you.
Your near-death experience, you saw the light. You saw it start out as a little bead and eventually grew and grew and grew until it was multidimensional.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people, when they have near-death experiences, talk about flying. They feel like they're flying. Maybe it's over a mountainside or over a great plain, or they see loved ones that have passed on before them. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't. I did not, Dave. Mine was straightforward. I was just there in that other dimension, if you will, the greater dimension. And I never did see any other people or beings or whatever. I did get to study an awful lot about what had happened to me after that. As you recall, I am a scientist, right? You know, you study, you want to verify whatever you'd experienced. I knew I had, but I wanted to verify it relative to what other people had experienced, and discovered that very often And what is taught by the Tibetans and others is that if when we die and we go through into the light, that's it. If we want to stay there, that is the consciousness of the oneness we can be in perfect, what should we say, with God forever and ever, amen, type of thing, experientially. If you begin to remember or think about your own individual life, those adjectives that have made us different, that we describe, each of us makes us unique, then it pulls you a little bit away from that oneness, and you will see loved ones and family and individual things that are different, for all people. I'm not saying what is right or what is wrong, but this is the experience that has been had by a number of masters in the past. By the way, I later learned, I don't know if you or your listeners are familiar with an Indian mystic by the name of Ramana Maharshi, but apparently he did the same thing that I did, of consciously wanting to experience a greater reality and holding out his breath long enough to go through the tunnel into the light. I was unaware of this when this happened to me, and only years later, on studying all the different religions of the world that I could get my hands on, I discovered that someone else had done the same thing.
For people who are maybe just tuning in, learning and didn't get to listen to the last half hour, what happened to you that caused this near-death experience?
Well, it was in my particular case, and I'm not recommending this to other people. Please don't, I don't want to misinterpret this. First of all, I was a lot younger than I am now, and I couldn't hold my breath out for nearly as long now as I did when I was 37. But it was a case of focusing on oneness while not having any air in my lungs. Basically, I died. I separated from my body. I know of people who have had this experience in auto accidents, on operating room tables, in all kinds of situations. It's a case of not planning for it, but I mean, I just wanted to know what was going to happen, and you want to say I lucked out. I'll tell you this, Dave, I am not afraid of dying. I am not. I've in effect, I've been there. I remember going through that tunnel into the light and saying, oh, this is what the people who've experienced it and wrote about, that Raymond Moody wrote about in his book, Life After Life. This is what they experienced. There was nothing to be afraid of. I was on the other side. And as I say, I'm 85 now. How many more years do I have? If I have 15, I become a centenarian. Oh my God. That's a biggie. I'm not going to be around for so many more, but I'm not afraid. I've been there. I know that it's peaceful. It's like dreams. When you dream, Dave, you go through things and have experiences. You don't realize that your body is lying there like a lump in the bed, right?
Right.
Right. Well, imagine going through these experiences and not having a lump lying there in the bed. That's what this is. Consciousness exists. I am. The body is just a housing for consciousness. Look, there was a time, let's talk evolution. There was a time when rocks were the most evolved beings on Earth, right? Imagine the great leap in evolution when plants arrived. Oh my goodness. Plants, they don't just sit there stoned like rocks do, right? Plants, they can turn to face the sun. They don't think about it. They don't say, I am turning to face the sun, but they just feel a heat, a light, a presence, and it turns. They reach for water. What an evolutionary leap from just sitting there like a rock. And then animals, small-brained animals, with morphogenetic minds, what Rupert Sheldrake called morphogenetic minds, a single mind for all the different beings. You know about that, right? All the when
Right.
a school of fish suddenly turns all at once. Believe me, they don't the guy in front of me just turned. It's time for me to turn. That's
Right.
not how it works. There's a single mind. When the swallows go to Capistrano, even though they've never been there before, how do they know? Because there's a single mind that they all tap into. We have evolved to the point where we have single minds inside the single body, but we think that it's all to be used for our own personal good. Have you seen that absolutely horrendous bumper sticker? The one who dies with the most toys wins.
Yes.
It is the dumbest thing in the world, but that, unfortunately, is where so many humans are today. What's in it for me? And if it's in it for me, screw you. If I'm, I'm trying to do what's best for me. And what an awful way to look at things. We are not separate leaves, Dave. We are one tree, and we have to recognize that if we're going to use all our skills and talents that we have for the good of all and become what we truly have been designed to do and become.
As you went through this process, did you feel like you were in the presence of God or a God or whatever you believe in? Did you feel that it was
Yes,
something that
yes,
was ethereal?
yes. I felt that I was in the presence of something that I never at all believed could have been there. All these people who spoke of faith, you remember I spoke earlier that I grew up, believing in science and faith, people who have faith, what do they know? They're just making things up. Well, now I experience something that was much greater. Oh my God, there is a God, there is something greater. And I decided at that point, yes, I've got to check it out. And so I studied. I read the Bible. I started by reading the Bible from beginning to end, both Testaments. And I studied Hinduism and Buddhism and Confucianism and Judaism and Islam and Native American and all indigenous cultures from all over the world. And I realized that all these people are saying the same thing. They're saying it in different ways, and that's the whole point. There are so many different ways to find it, and I had been fortunate enough to find it by going through the tunnel into the light. But you don't have to do that. Whatever path you're on, that's a cool path. It will work. The only person you have to fear is the person who says, my way is the only way.
Right.
That person, stay away from. But anything else is legitimate. And for anyone to say, I mean, can you believe how stupid humans have been? We fight with other religions because they call God by a different name. Do you remember how many years ago, wasn't not that long ago, in Northern Ireland, when Protestants and Catholics were killing each other in the name of the Prince of Peace? How can this be? How can humanity be so stupid than to realize there are many ways to find the truth? You know, so yes, your guy went this way and he found it. Great. And go that way if you want. But if I want to find it this way, let me find it this way. It doesn't matter. There are many, many ways to the jewel of truth.
The piece that you found when you were going through that,
Yes.
how did you understand that it was a near-death experience?
It was exactly similar to what I had read in Moody's book. In fact, as I was before, when I first saw the light, when I first saw it, and I felt I could feel I was dying. I felt, I had separated, if you recall, from the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, just connected with the ether element, and I felt I was dying. And the thought went in my mind, no, God will not let me die while I'm searching for him. And of course, being an atheist at the time, I hadn't yet gone through the light, through the touch. I was embarrassed to hear me say that, but but that's what I felt. And then a few moments later, through that tunnel into the light, I refused to breathe, and went through and experienced exactly what I never believed was there. It's possible that you find something that you didn't know was there. You've heard about it, and it can't be, but it really is. My God. Look, even science now is talking about a oneness in the universe.
Yes.
They call it dark energy. Quantum physics talks about dark energy. Religion calls it God. Quantum physics calls it dark energy. Who cares what you call it? It is. It exists. That's the important thing, not the name you give it, not what prayers you mutter when you try and bring this conscious being into your life. More importantly, you don't even have to go out there to find it. Go inside. I lead meditation groups now. You start with meditation with people who don't do it just to quiet the noise of this crazy world out there. But the deeper you get, you go behind your thoughts, behind your emotions, to the actual feeling of being, of I am. And when you do that, that is the feeling of oneness. That is the feeling of consciousness, of I am. That is what fills the universe. Nothing ever happened, Dave, and this is true, without we think about it. We, our very being, when we say I, that is the connector between the inside world and the outside world. Any work of art, from a Van Gogh painting to some guy scribbling with paint on a wall downtown. No work of art comes out without somebody thinking about it first. You think about things. You turn them into physical reality. You think, what am I going to have for dinner? You taste it in your mind, and then you turn it to a physical thing in the physical world, and half an hour later, you're eating what you had thought about in your mind. This is Earth. This is the universe. This is a galaxy thought about by consciousness itself. I am is the oneness that fills us all. It fills humans, it fills animals, it is Earth itself is alive. We know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is what I call new consciousness. It's been around, but the new part is when humans are aware of it, because then we'll use our skills, talents, and abilities for the good of all, not just for our own personal value. And that's the way it was intended, ultimately.
How did you find that spiritual connection after this? We got about 3 minutes to go.
Well, I realized that what I had experienced in my near-death experience, which I, by the way, had called a death return experience, because from the inside, you don't know that you're coming back. I mean, you've separated from your body. I decided that what I had been given was not for me alone. And that's why I studied all these different religions. And I went to California Institute of Integral Studies, which was started by an Indian avatar, Sri Aurobindo. His disciple Haridas Chaudhry founded the school, and they accepted spiritual reality. And I realized that this is what I wanted to do. I studied the evolution of human consciousness. That was the field that I went in, and I read all these different religions, and they all said the same thing. And it was what I had experienced personally myself. And when my experience matches what Lao Tzu says, in the I Ching way back thousands of years ago, or what is said in Islam, or what Jesus said, Luke 17:21, the kingdom of God is within you, right?
Right.
All right. That's saying I am inside, that feeling, that's where God is. John 14:6, I am the way, which Jesus said. By the way, he didn't speak English. Jesus did not speak English. He spoke Aramaic. And I am the way could just as easily have been translated into I am is the way. So it is said in all these different religions, and that's what I had experienced. I'd experienced the one, but rather than think that mine was better, I studied all, and finding that they were all saying the same thing from different perspectives gave me an awareness that we are one. Once again, as I say, we are not separate leaves. We are one tree, and we have to live that way for life to be, for the heaven on earth that was intended when the thought of producing a physical reality came into the mind of the universal oneness.
It is a powerful concept of learning how to find your own spirituality. And we have Anton Grosz for another half hour on Spaced Out Radio. And when we return, we're going to get into some audience questions because I know Anton would love to answer them for you. His books can be found on his website, antongrosz.com. Grosz is spelled Grosz, and Handbook for New Consciousness. It can be found on his website as well. You're definitely going to want to add his books to your collection, so go get them. antongrosz.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. We got 5 minutes.
Okay.
Fascinating stuff, my friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I tell you, this is feeling of wanting to be happy. It's really the key to it all. I run meditation groups, as I mentioned, and we start with a meet and greet before we get into our 20 minutes of meditation. And I'll say, I recall one recently when I said to the people, what's something that you're good at? Share with the rest of the group something you're good at. And somebody's a good cook, somebody was a cartoonist, somebody, takes photographs, somebody's a woodworker, whatever it is. And then I said, I'll bet if instead of asking you, what are you good at, if I said, what do you like to do, that it would have been the same answer. And the vast majority, maybe 90% of them said, yes, it would. That's why we were created as we are. You don't hate doing radio shows.
No, I love it.
Duh.
Is it obvious? Is it that obvious?
Yeah. And you're good at it. That's pretty obvious too. So this is the thing. This is what it's all about. Be happy, be kind. That's it. It's not hard. It really isn't hard, to do. The hard, it's sometimes hard in the world around us. If bombs are dropping on our head, if we don't have enough to eat, there are so many things. But I certainly don't want to be responsible for that happening to someone else, and I'll do whatever I can to change that. And if in my case I've been given the ability to write, to speak, and to have these experiences, all the better. One other thing I will say, I've done many things in my life. I've got a couple of patents, United States patents. I've owned business. I've done all, and about my professional singing, many things, wonderful life. But I always felt that the later in my life I did something, the more important it would be. And as you know, I'm 85. Ain't going to be that many more things I do. I got a feeling that this is it. Share it. Share this information with as many people as I can. Help make it a better world. Help keep humanity from destroying the planet we're living on. I can't think of any other species that is, screwing up our planet like humans are. We're the ones who are putting plastic in the oceans. We're the ones who are putting gases up in the atmosphere. Yeah. It's crazy what we are doing. Looking out for me, not us. Looking out for us is one thing. Looking out for me, screw you, that's something else.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very
amazing.
We have about 35 seconds. Thank you tonight to T-Bone, my man, Pam, Kitty Caddywhack, Matthew. Thank you, T-Bone, for gifting a membership. Richard, thank you for joining our YouTube membership. Remember, folks, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And just around the corner next year, CaribouCon.com, the first annual Caribou Con in 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. We want you there. VIP tickets are on sale. Hey, come hang out with Extra Small and myself. Yeah, you can. Here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Final time tonight. Author, researcher, experiencer, Anton Grosz is here. Got a new book out, Handbook for a New Consciousness. Yeah, you could check it on out. It's on Amazon or on his website. The Next Step in Human Evolution. Oh, it's going to be a good one. You want to add it to your library, especially right before Christmas. Anton Grosz, Grosz, or Z, whatever you prefer, .com. Anton, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Dave.
Your near-death experience. A skeptic would ask, how do you know it just wasn't your mind playing tricks on you, that everything you experienced was real and fundamental on who you became now?
That's a very, very interesting point. And it's the saying that is, I think, the word weakness came to mind. Look, my experience, we are, as living beings, a combination of inside reality and outside reality. All right? The outside reality can be proved, and that's where old Newtonian science was. It was all out there. But the world inside us is just as real. Let's say that you and I are sitting across the table at a diner some morning having breakfast. And I say, man, this coffee is weak. And you say, really? I thought it's strong. Is one of us right and one of us wrong? No. For my inner reality, that coffee is weak. I happen to like strong black coffee. Maybe you don't. Does that mean that you're wrong? No. It may be too strong for you. What I experience, why do you go home to a certain, that walk down a block and turn into one particular house and walk in? Other people walk past that house. The house looks exactly the same on the outside. But inside, it has a meaning for you that is real, that you experience. That's where I live. That's where my family lives. that makes it. Does this make sense?
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying here?
Yes.
So the very fact that someone else cannot feel your experience doesn't make it unreal. I knew a woman back many years ago after I had my near-death experience. We were living in upstate New York at the time. There was a woman named June Burke who channeled someone named Julian, a seraphim named Julian. She'd go into trance and she would, speak about him. And she had a place called Circle of Light. Sunday mornings we would go and listen to her. And she said that she had some, gifts from when she was a little girl, that she could tell what was in the mailbox or who was about to call. The phone would ring and she'd say, "Oh, that's Aunt Harriet calling," and the mother was like, will you stop doing that, June? Father Anthony thinks we're crazy enough already. Stop it. But these experiences that we have inside are real for us. And they cannot be denied, and they shouldn't be denied. When I wrote my first book, which was Letters to a Dying Friend, which happened to have an intro by the Dalai Lama, I have to throw that in there. That was kind of an accident, but it just happened to work out. I did radio shows like I'm doing this one, and people, and we talk about the near-death experience, and people would say, I had an experience like that too, but when I told my family, they said, "Oh, you're just making that up. Stop it. People will think you're nuts." So I stopped talking about it, and I don't think about it anymore. And it could have affected their lives in such a positive way. And I would say to them, "Look, you had that experience, all right? I'll give you another quickie, if I may. One of my
Please.
major experiences at college. I was a pretty crappy student. I got decent marks, but I wasn't a good student. But one of the highlights of my college year was one day I'm walking across campus, and there's a sign, students needed for psychology experiments. Apparently, a bunch of people, grad students, had theses, and they needed to have samples and data. And so I went in and to take the tests, and so in $5, you could earn $5. And in the 1960s, $5 was a lot of money. Just for your younger viewers, to let you know that. And I went in and I did all the, took the tests. And the last room I went into, there were 5 panels set up with red and green lights on them, and buttons underneath the red and green lights, and panel walls separating the panels from each other, so you couldn't see what was in the other person. And there were 4 other students in there. There were 5 panels. I walk in, they say, "Oh, the 5th one is here. We can get started." And there's the professor in the back, and he says, "I'm going to push the buttons. And I'm going to push the buttons red, green, whichever it is, you push. It'll light up on your panel. They'll all be the same, and you push the button underneath it. It's going to get faster and faster until someone misses, and then we'll stop." Okay, I lined up behind my cubicle, and the other people lined up, and the light goes green, I push green. Goes red, I push red. Green, red, boom, boom, back and forth. Suddenly, beep, buzzer, somebody missed. And the guy at the corner, one of the other students, said, Who pushed red?" I said, "I did." He said, "You blew it, fella. Mine was green. You're the one who missed." I said, "Well, maybe yours was green, but mine was red." He said, "No, the professor said they were all going to be the same, and mine was green." And the woman on the other side said, "Mine was green too." And I said, "I don't care what yours was. Mine was red." He said, are you calling me a liar? I said, what are you telling me? And we started going at each other. And with fists clenched, like there was going to be who the hell are you telling me? I know what I saw. All right. At which point, suddenly, boom, I'm grabbed from behind, and it's the professor. And he says, easy, son. You were right. It was red. This is not a test for how, fast you can respond to colors. It is a test for how you react to peer pressure. You did very well, son. Here's this chick. Go collect your $5. I was so pissed. I walked out, and I forgot about that until my near-death experience, when I realized I had this experience. I know what I saw. I know what I felt, a greater reality, a dimensions more than just 3 dimensions in time. I can't tell you how many there were, but it was something else. And don't tell me what I didn't experience. And that's what I would say to anybody who has their own internal experience. Believe yourself. Don't let anyone tell you you didn't have that experience, or this coffee is not strong enough, or whatever. You have the right to be who you are, and who you are is just as valid and just as true as anyone else.
Let's get to some audience questions here after that extremely awesome, profound statement. Let's go to T-Bone here, who is asking, Anton, what's your opinion of the telepathy tapes? Do you believe in telepathy?
I believe in insights. I have had some of the most profound and traumatic insights ever. Do I believe that everyone who says so, talks about what, having experienced them do? No, I don't. There are, people who fake anything. But if you have an insight of something, believe it. Truth comes from both sides, from what's out there and from what's in here. This is how, so much science is find. Truths are found when somebody suddenly says, aha, they get that aha moment. So do I believe in telepathy? Absolutely. Any individual person or particular thing? I really don't know. That's up to, that person. But yeah, it's real. It's real.
Let's move on. Let's go next to Polly over in Israel. She is asking, does a near-death experience change according to your religious beliefs, or is it more like a procedure, same for all of us?
It would, in theory, you will go into the light. All right. I was a chaplain. I became a chaplain for a hospice because after this experience, I wanted to work with other than just earning money, if you know what I'm saying. So I became a home health giver and took care of old people, and eventually a hospice chaplain. And I would tell people just, as you're going to die, there's nothing to be afraid of. If you happen to see a light, go for the light, And this is the point. If you see a light, that light is the same for all beings. If you can hold that consciousness of the light, it is there. If you expect something to happen, then it probably will. If you expect to see Muhammad or Jesus or Moses or your mother or whomever, Yeah, you probably will, because you on the inside are creating that vision. All right. So it's what we create that allow that to take place. If you are open and just look at what's there, you will be in the light, and that's it.
All right, let's move over to Little Cam. What is your opinion on psychedelics?
Any in particular?
Well, do you think you need them in order to have an experience if you've never experienced?
Uh, I used them when I was younger. Uh, I don't now. I don't need to. I've been there. I've been through the door. I've come out the other side. I know what's there. I remember once as a volunteer at a hospice before I became a chaplain, one of the patients who had AIDS was a Buddhist monk, and he refused to take any painkillers because he said, when I actually die, I don't want my mind to be clouded by anything that can get in the way of my seeing what is actually there. You know, um,
That makes a lot of sense.
I give him credit for that. The pain he went through that he didn't have to experience. But on the other hand, when he went through, he was clearly, aware of where he was and what was happening. I see no problem in psychedelics as, to help open the door. Once the door is opened, there's no need for them anymore. Is that a reasonable answer?
I think that's a great answer. I really do.
Good.
Let's move on here. Let's go to T-Bone. Anton, what is your take that we agreed to all of this?
All of this being life?
Yes.
Well, we are one of the creators. When you say we, you mean you and me, T-Bone?
Everybody that, there are many people who believe, like through Akashic Records, that we all signed up for this.
Well, first off, let me say we weren't here when the thing started, right? It all started because the creator said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. Let's turn it into something material. How cool is that?" And then the evolution took place, and eventually more and more evolved beings took place, and is there reincarnation? I certainly believe that there is. I certainly believe that who we are, what we bring into this life, is built up from where we were. Did we agree that it should be this type of crazy ass world that we're living in now? I don't think we did. But that's where we get the opportunity to change it. All right. Do what we can for others. I repeat it. We're not separate leaves. We're one tree. We're unique because it would be so boring if we were all the same. But using our skills and talents for everything else, how wonderful that we can, that we can make this happen. So whether we agreed on it, we agreed on it because we were the oneness when it started. All right. We were that seed of the tree, but then we evolved and separated and became, look like the separate, unique items. Do we each agree from this point? Well, probably not, but we're in it. So let's go back to the source, recognize our oneness, recognize that together we can make it all happen properly. And yeah, as the oneness, we did agree to it. Did that make sense?
It totally did.
By the way, you guys are asking cool questions.
Well, we got a couple more. Let's go back to T-Bone back to back. He is asking, Anton, once we then find it, who can we tell?
Tell whoever you want to, you know, get on Dave's program and tell him, you know, write your book, go to meditation groups, become a chaplain, you know, for a hospice, help people who are dying. I came up with a prayer. I'm a non-denominational minister. All right. I don't believe any one religion is better than any other religion. I'm into spirituality. And the prayer I came up with for dying people was, may what is supposed to happen, happen with no pain or suffering for anyone. And that seemed to make sense. So when you find it, tell it, spread it into the world. But, you know, don't make it sound like you're the only one who knows, you know, because that's, you know, that means I'm better. I'm no better than anyone else. I just have been, this is my calling to spread this word. But by the way, God doesn't need me, Anton, to spread the word of universal oneness, right? I do what I can. But if the word is going to get out there, it's going to get out there. I do what I like doing. I do what makes me happy. What makes me happy is sharing oneness, sharing love and, you know, togetherness among all people, and hoping that it will help make a better world. If it works, great. If it doesn't, hey, I gave it my best shot and I died smiling anyway.
Final question from our audience tonight for you. This goes to a brand new listener making a killing in our chat room. Do you believe in the fourth dimension?
Define the fourth dimension. I believe that there's more than the three that we know of. Yeah, and if maybe it's inside, you know, the inside reality is just as real. It's just as real. The others are just out there. There are three dimensions outside of us. There's time, which is sort of a dimension, but it's also outside of us. And then there's the reality on the other side of the eye, the inside. That is real, as we've already discussed. My likes and dislikes are just as real for me as your likes and dislikes are for you, even though they may be completely different. You know, so do I believe that there are other dimensions? Yes. I don't know how you define fourth dimension. So I don't think I should answer that because I don't know that.
All right. I'm going to sneak in one more question here. We got a minute to go.
Yes.
Nicole is asking, what do you think of super consciousness? Can we tap into that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My latest line that it just feels right. And what a perfect way to end this show, Dave. Think about this one and just feel it. Just stop for a minute, everyone, and just think and feel. In fact, don't think it, just feel it. God is, I am, you are, and we are one.
Beautiful thing.
That's what it's all about. Use your skills, talents, and abilities for the good of all. Enjoy your life. Be happy. Be kind. That's it. My 3 rules of life. It's a beautiful, beautiful life.
Anton Grosz, everybody. AntonGrosz.com. Get his books there. Swamp Dweller and Extra Small are next in hour 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job tonight, Anton. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. It was a great, great pleasure. Really, really relaxed, other than the fact that we didn't have a beer in front of us. We could have been just hanging out together.
It's all good, my friend. Thank you. I told you it'd be a good one, and you were great.
Thank you very much. My pleasure, sir.
Take,
Thank you for the invite.
take care. Good night.
Good night. Wish you peace, brother.
Good night. How awesome was he? And that voice. Oh, my God, that voice. Woo-wee. All right. I'll be right back, everybody.
Make sure you tell Dave to chew his food.
All right. There we go. Let's bring in extra small. Hold on. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, my friend.
Good.
Fantastic.
Good. We did that one last night. Swamp Dweller is going to be about 4 minutes. And we kind of go from there.
Got it.
All right. Thank you tonight to Matthew, T-Bone, Pam, and Kitty Caddywhack for the great super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Thank you to Richard for becoming a member, and T-Bone with another gift of a membership. We greatly appreciate that as well. Lee Strauss, this guy right here, him and I will be speaking at cariboucon.com. Cariboucon.com. 2026 VIP tickets are on sale right now. And Lee, have you checked out the new swag?
Dude, wow. Yeah, I've even posted some on Facebook.
I appreciate that. We're coming right now. Here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is Basemain. Basemain is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. At the time, I was serving in the military overseas in Yokosuka, Japan from 2012 to 2014. Since my time there, I was settled and been there for 2 years and seeing a very lovely girl named May. May had told me she was pregnant with my child while I was on my deployment. I took responsibility for my actions, so we started to plan. During the second year of my service during the winter, 6 months since May gave me the news, my ship had been in a dry dock for a year, and each ship, depending on how large the ship's crew is, had a handful of duty sections. This was a group of crew members who watched the ship and took care of it while the rest of the crew was off. So my section was on duty this night. Then during our evening meal, one of my shipmates asked me if I could switch watches with him. Being that my current watch was standing in freezing cold for 5 hours, he thought giving me his barracks watch would lift my spirits up. It did. I took the proposal in a heartbeat. We both let our section leader know of the change. At 23:45, I was on my way to the barracks to start my watch from 2400 to 0600. The barracks watch was there for safety and to see that the right people were in their respective rooms. I arrived with 5 minutes to spare. I bought myself a person. I was relieving a coffee, thinking it would help them on their cold walk home. As the night progressed, I made my rounds every half an hour, and when the wee hours of the morning came around, I started to doze off. I was awoken by a resident who couldn't sleep due to their neighbors crying. "If you can't get the girl back in her room and keep her quiet, I won't tell the supervisor that you were sleeping," he muttered, as if I didn't have a choice. The barracks were 3 floors high, full of people. But at this hour, the silence had a certain eeriness to it, like you could hear your own heartbeat. My footsteps echoed as in some sort of catacomb. As I made my way upstairs, I began to hear sobbing. I shook my head in disappointment. This should be fun, I said to myself. I reached the 3rd floor and I made my way down the hallway. The sobbing sounded like it was coming from the laundry room. Maybe the poor girl didn't want to wake up her roommates, I thought to myself. As I made my way into the laundry room, the sobbing was low, like she tried to hide it. I stepped forward and asked, "Miss, are you okay?" I turned the light on and I saw a young girl sitting on the floor facing the wall, leaning on the washer machine. I asked again, "Miss, are you all right?" I put some strain on it so she may hear me, past the sobbing. I still waited for a response, but still got nothing. It was late and I was tired and getting impatient. I got closer to her. "Hey, lady, are you all right? I think you should call it a night." I yelled as I walked closer. Just as I did, the girl sprung up quickly. She looked sick. She had dark eyes, greasy hair, and she didn't look happy. It was almost as if I ruined her crying game. Before I could open my mouth, she let out an ear-shattering scream, and it just kept climbing in pitch. I get closer to shut her up, but the noise was too much and I collapsed. The last thing I saw was the sickly girl with her menacing face staring straight at me and screaming. All of a sudden, I woke up in the office where I watched the cameras. I would have written it off as a bad dream from eating galley food, but I felt different. I felt cold. I have never left the office for the rest of my watch. A week later, I got news from May. She told me that there were complications with the baby and she had a miscarriage. I couldn't help feeling that the young girl in my night terror and the miscarriage could be linked. I'm back stateside now, and the experience has left a major impression on me.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for a creepy story just like that. If you want more, do us a favor. Head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We got thousands of stories for you right there for you to tune on in. So make sure you check it on out. From the swamp to the Q&A, let's go to Extra Small Lee Strauss.
They call him extra small, but he's big where it counts. Chasing Bigfoot through the woods on wild accounts. Talking ghosts in the dark, UFOs in the sky. Aliens laughing while they're cruising by. Yeah, Lee Strauss is out there. Hear that cosmic call? He's the legend of Element 115. Here on Spaced Out Radio's Q&A.
It's a beautiful song, isn't it?
It's fantastic. I wish there was more, Dave. I wish there was more.
I know. I'll have to make a long version of that.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. How you been doing, buddy?
I've been doing great. You know, I was absent last week, but I'm back.
Well, you were hanging out with your mom. How
Yeah.
can you? There's logical excuses. Hanging out with your mom is one of those logical excuses.
My mom and Tammy. So, yep.
And where is sweet Tammy tonight?
Tammy is back home down in Northern California.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Does she have her passport?
She does have a passport.
Good. So that way, when you come up to investigate Flight 21, you can bring her along.
Bring another investigator with me. That's right.
We wrapped up the Flight 21 for this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Due to weather and trying to get there. And it's easier if, you know, with the snow about to fly and it's starting to build up in the hillier areas. Is hillier a word? Can we say that?
I think we can say it, Dave.
Okay. You know, just overall, I mean, you were listening to what Tim and I were saying and what I've said about Flight 21. You experienced it yourself. Just your overall thoughts looking back.
Well, looking back, I mean, heck, it's been months now. But, you know, it's just one of those areas where you want to continue to go and investigate. I kind of talked about that earlier tonight, too, with my guest, about there's these areas that just keep drawing us back in. And you're just lucky enough to have one as close as you do. A lot of us have to travel, you know, hours to get to a location like that. But it wasn't just that spot, Dave. You know, we went to another location. We saw that amazing 3-toed footprint that we took picture of. And so everything up there is amazing to me, but specifically that one location where you have all that phenomena happening in one general spot. So yeah, those spots are out there. Sometimes you got to drive, and sometimes you're lucky like you and can get there in 40 minutes.
For you to be out there hearing all the hype that we talked about regarding Flight 21, what was it for you? What was it like for you being there?
For me, it was like, my gosh, I've been listening to Dave talk about this place for a while, and Tim talk about it, and the videos that you guys were putting out, and it's just like, holy cow, I get to go to this location, which is great. But in your mind, and most people have these spots, that are doing the research that we do. I guess, is it even research? You could answer that just as well as I could, but it's you have a spot in your mind where that you've had activity before, and you really want to concentrate in your own spot, in your own area, and you get all these people that come to you say, I've got a great spot, and you hear it time and time again, but in our minds we're like, well, nothing is better than the spot that we already have, right? But to go to Flight 21, no, that's special in its own way. A lot of activity there, and it's definitely a spot that I would like to investigate more. But right here where I'm at, I've got to drive 3 hours one way to get to one of my spots, and 3.5 hours south to get to another one of my spots. So I wish I had something closer, but
It's much easier when it's in your backyard.
yeah, it is. But your spot is definitely unique in a lot of ways. I mean, these areas that you go to, each of them have their own feel, their own energy, their own fingerprint, so to speak. And yours is a lot different than the other two that I have.
It is unique. That is for sure. I think I'm going to remember the experiences, and how do I take those experiences into year number 2? I think that's a big one for me, because I've never been an investigator before. I've never been a researcher before. I'm very amateur at it. I am still learning how to do it. What's the proper technique? What's not? Who can you bring up there? Who can you not? Because the phenomena is very picky with who goes up there and who's going to have an experience and who's not. I mean, you look at all the people, the tourists that go up there just to pay their respects, and they have no clue that all of this amazing phenomena is going on at the same time. Because I think the phenomena knows what they're there for and is just saying, okay, quiet down, back away, Sasquatch. This is just for, these people going in to say hello. They're usually there for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then they leave. They're not out perusing around on the other trails or anything along those lines. So I think I learned a little bit about me. I'm not as afraid to be out in the forest anymore because of that. I still am timid because it's so claustrophobic there. You never know what's all of a sudden going to pop out on a trail. Yeah. That's kind of eerie. I am fearful of what could be there that I don't know about yet. But that fear is more trumped by curiosity and my quest to learn more about the phenomena through experience.
And that's it.
So next year is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out, because I'm going to have a bigger team. I'm going to be bringing, testing people out to make sure that I have the ability to do what we have to do out there, and with a bigger team. The tough part about it with Tim was, let's say like a couple times, Tim wasn't feeling well. So we didn't get out there. I'm raring to go, but I'm not going out there alone. So if I have a team with me, whether or not Tim comes back, and I hope he does, right? But if I have a team with me, it's going to be a lot easier for somebody on that team to all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm not going tonight, not feeling it, I'm not feeling good, or maybe I hurt myself at work today or whatever, and if you have 4 or 5 people, the chances of chances of missing a weekend are slim to none.
Yeah. And
So-
I agree. Those places that we go, we should have people with us. You shouldn't go alone, especially after we saw the kitty, in reviewing some of that footage. You've got a big cat, obviously, in that area.
Yes.
And that's my biggest fear for you, is you're going to be out there alone and there's a big cat behind you and you're not going to know it until you're face down on the ground.
Yeah,
with it on deck.
I'm not doing that, man. I will never. I went out there alone once this year, and that was to gather my trail cams that you graciously gave me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in and out of there, man. I forgot to hit record one time, and I was like, no, I am not going back to film it. Like, I am not doing that. So,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Right.
Let's move on from Flight 21, because, there's some very interesting stories in today in UFO history.
Mm.
How about this one? 1956, in your beautiful state of Washington. Radar stations across Washington state began tracking an unknown object moving at speeds far beyond known craft of the era. The target appeared suddenly over the Pacific, then streaked towards the interior of Washington state, shifting directions with abrupt angular movements that defied inertia. Radar operators at McChord Air Force Base in Tacoma quickly confirmed the returns, not weather, not birds, not equipment malfunction. There was something solid, fast, and under intelligent control. So the United States Air Force scrambled 2 F-89 Scorpion interceptors to make visual contact. As the jets closed in on whatever this thing was, the pilots reported that the object performed evasive maneuvers, accelerating to speeds they could not match. One pilot described it as jumping across the sky, vanishing from one point and reappearing in another on radar. The object even seemed to toy with the jets, slowing down enough for them to approach, then blasting away in a sudden burst of speed that left the Scorpion pilots behind. Radar logs from that night show multiple operators witnessing the same impossible maneuvers. The chase ended abruptly as it began. The unknown craft ascended rapidly, climbing higher than the F-89s could pursue, eventually vanishing from radar altogether. The Air Force filed a brief, vague entry about the incident, but offered no formal explanation. Despite several experienced personnel being involved, the case was quietly filed under unidentified. Over time, it has become one of the forgotten events in America's Cold War era skywatch, an encounter that suggested something advanced was monitoring the Pacific Northwest long before UFO disclosure discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
Well, toying. So they're toying with the jets, with the pilots. I go back to thinking and believing in, from my point of view, they have a sense of humor. They do. It may seem very dry at times, but I really do think that a lot of things that I've seen, Dave, just show me and tell me that they have a great sense of humor. But here in Washington State, there's been so much that has gone on with UFOs and the military. I've got countless reports of people witnessing UFOs, around Tacoma, around Seattle, Everett on up north, all the way into Bellingham and across the border. And over on Woodby Island, we also have a naval station as well, and we have jets that fly out of there, and then fly up the valleys, up through the mountains, the Cascades up here as well, chasing UFOs. I've heard about people that have seen that. And of course they toy and they joke around. It seems like they evade and then they pop up again in another spot, or they go into the ocean and different things like that. So I think it's a game for them. We may think it's serious, but
I was gonna, and it's funny you say that, because I was gonna mention that I think they're having fun. Just like you and I playing fetch with a dog, or hide and go seek with a dog, or I'm gonna get you with a dog. What does a dog do? It scrambles away really fast. It does its little zoomies and then turns right around and says, "Hey, see, you can't catch me." And you slap your hands again, and the dog, takes off in another zoomy tantrum that they love to have, with a big smile on their face. And it's almost like that. I hearken back to incidents not only like this, but to the Malmstrom Air Force Base where the nuclear missiles were. I believe it was Malmstrom. I probably got that wrong. Okay, where they were turning the nuclear missiles on and off. We looked at that as an obvious threat, and who wouldn't?
Right.
Okay, but on the flip side, for them, maybe it's just a game toying. Look at the toys, the primitive toys they're playing with. Let's see if we can use them like a I don't know. I mean, as a kid, we all had a remote control car. Let's see what we could do with them.
I think in that case, Dave, I think they were trying to teach us a lesson. Don't play with things that you don't understand. And that's why I think, they turned ours off, and in Russia they turned theirs on, just to scare us and let us know that we're messing with things that we shouldn't.
And that's also a good point too, because many people who claim to have been taken up on craft and been quote unquote educated by them have come back saying the aliens will never allow us to have a nuclear war. That if the nukes are ever launched, they will shut them down.
Yeah.
And these people who have these conversations while being taken, they are very steadfast on it. And it's not just one person who is having these. And look, a lot of these stories came pre-internet days. So it's not like, oh, this is just an internet rumor, a Reddit thread that went viral, or creepy pasta that has gone into the alien realm. It's not that at all. These those pieces of media didn't exist when people were saying, look, I was taken, and they told me point blank that if nuclear weapons are ever launched, that's where we will step in. Up until then, humans have the free will to do, but we're not going to let you kill your planet.
Yep. And from what I understand, it affects more than just our planet. People have said that it affects, the solar system. And then there's other things too, beyond our reality, that it can affect.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where we're at with it. So when we return for the next half hour of the Q&A, not only are we going to take some audience questions, if they want to ask questions, if you're in one of our chat rooms, but we're going to tell you another story on this date in UFO history. Yeah. How about another military aircraft disappearing, vanishing into thin air? Pun intended. Spaced Out Radio continues after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, extra small.
Okay.
All right.
Let me tell you about the creepy crap that's going on here in my place.
Well, wait until we get back on air.
Oh. Okay.
I had I will say this earlier tonight. I haven't mentioned it, but if our audience has been here like in the first half hour, and you saw me kind of looking down and leaning past my desk, I had like a black. It wasn't an orb. It was about like a black blob. Like I don't even know how to explain it. It kind of looked like that. Go ripping about 2 feet off my floor, right across my desk and into the wall.
Oh, right into the wall.
Yeah.
So you think you're possibly bringing some stuff home from Flight 21?
No.
No?
No, I feel clear. I totally feel clear. I know when I have something. The one thing I will say this is I do know when I have something attached. Don't have anything
Okay.
attached. Yeah.
Well, your area up there is pretty haunted.
You love it up here.
I do.
We got to try and get you up here like once a month.
I wish.
Well, you're coming up twice next year.
Twice.
Yeah. You're coming up to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're coming up for Paracon.
Okay. That's twice.
If you count them, it's once, twice.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, God. You can't make this shit up, Lee.
No, I got to ask for more time off. Supposed to be going possibly over to the over across the pond too.
Well, okay. If you come a couple days early, you only have to come once up here.
Yeah. We'll see what we do. Tammy will be coming for sure. So
good.
She
High
would,
Adventures with Beth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people, you guys are impressed that I could count to 2.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Good.
It's gonna be fun. Nebraska or San Francisco in March, Nebraska in April, Vegas in May.
Yeah. I definitely need to get more than 3 weeks off a year. That's just not cutting it.
I say we just win the lottery, Lee. You do one of them Powerball things.
That would do it.
Yep.
Be full time.
I'm going to be honest. I'd be riding on your financial coattails after that.
Be full time investigating.
You would be my sugar daddy.
How would that look?
Well, there'd be a lot of camouflage and a lot of road trips into Sasquatch area.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So you know what I did?
What's that, bud?
I bought my boy a megalodon tooth for Christmas.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Matthew wants to know where you get your gear.
My gear? Which gear?
Your equipment that you use for investigation.
A lot of the time, Amazon and then Ghost Stop as well. Mm-hmm. Yep. You just have to research it, figure out what'll work for you with whatever you're researching. Most things are like cross-platform where you can use them for different types of investigation, but
that's awesome. We got 25 seconds. Big kudos. Shout out to T-Bone, Pam, Matthew, and Kitty for the great super chats tonight. Thank you, T-Bone, for gifting a membership. Richard for adding a membership. We greatly appreciate your love and support. And here we go. Third and final hour is halfway done. We're into the final half hour now on Spaced Out Radio. The Q&A with Lee Strauss continues right after this. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, Lee Strauss hanging on out with us. And right during the break, I made you save it for the people listening. You've had some creepy stuff going on in your house.
Yeah, the last couple days, man, weird stuff. So the first thing, before I left for Thanksgiving yesterday, I turned the TV off and I set the remote down on the table and I walked into the kitchen and getting some stuff gathered up, and all of a sudden the TV comes on and it goes to like the Lifetime channel. It's kind of like the Hallmark channel, right? I'm like, what the heck is this, right? So in order for this to happen, 2 buttons have to be pushed. Okay, actually 3. You have to turn it on. You got to select the sideways button. Then you got to push the OK button to select that channel. And there's no buttons on the bottom of the remote. You know, one will say like Amazon or YouTube or whatever the case may be, but there's no Lifetime button on the remote control. And so I'm like, well, that's weird. So I go back over there, shut the darn thing off again. And then a minute later, it happens again. Same thing. Turns on and then goes to the Lifetime channel. I'm like, what? This is bizarre. This isn't, what the heck's going on? And, you know, my mind's thinking, well, maybe there's somebody in the house, an entity that wants to watch the Lifetime channel. But I turned it off anyway. And then I thought before I left, wait a minute, maybe something's trying to tell me something here. You know, everybody's going for Thanksgiving dinner, right? Everybody is away from their place and they're somewhere else. Maybe I should leave it on because somebody might want to try to break in or whatever the case may be and get to the equipment that I have. So I said, okay, I'm going to turn it back on the Lifetime channel. And I turned it on and then I took off for the day. And then I come home and I'm sitting in my bedroom talking to Tammy, and all of a sudden I hear voices in the living room. I'm like, what the hell? You know, so I go into the living room and I don't want to say her name, I've got these devices, these little devices around my house that are, you know, the Amazon devices. I don't want to tell you what their name is because then they'll all go off. But all of a sudden the one in the kitchen turns on and is starting to talk and says something about gloves. And I don't understand why gloves, but gloves were coming up and she was talking about gloves. And so after that, I went to bed. But today I wake up and I'm fiddling around and all of a sudden Lifetime channel comes on again. So whoever's in the place with me really likes the Lifetime channel.
Well, it's better than the Hallmark channel during the Christmas season.
Well, that's what it's like. It's just like that. It's the same.
I realize that you're only going to be in danger if that spirit or ghost starts saying the name Mariah Carey 3 times during the Christmas season. Then you know you need to get out fast.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny, just over the past couple days. And I think things like um, this sort of stuff can happen when you give it energy, right? So lately, I've kind of been talking to Tammy about some things that are happening at her place. And it kind of opens the door when you start talking about stuff. And so that's what I think has happened here. Yep,
You got ghosts.
I do. I think
Matthew
so.
Goodco wants to know in the chat room, where do you get your equipment? What do you use? There was another question here. I totally butchered it and lost it. I'll try and find it and post it for you.
Okay, so Amazon's where I get a lot of my equipment, and then Ghost Stop. But you can get a piece of equipment for instance, this 360 trail camera right here. Whenever you get a piece of equipment, or whenever I do, I try to modify it in some way, shape, or form to make it different than other equipment that I have. So this 360 trail camera, I've painted berries all over, and I made it basically as visible as frickin' possible. Maybe to, maybe a Sasquatch might want to come up and take a look at that if there's berries all over it.
Good paint job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, and the two that I gave you, I painted them with the anti-RFID paint to hopefully cut down on any electronic signal coming out of them. And so, just things like that. When you get a piece of equipment, just think about the best way to use it and maybe try something different.
Okay, what about this question coming for you from Boondock? Do you use a spirit box, and if so, which one do you prefer?
Okay, so I do have a spirit box right now, and I think it's a SB1 or something like that. It's in my closet over here. It's the only one I have, right? Other than the one that's on my phone, and most people say the ones on the phone don't work so well. But I haven't found that to be the case. If you go into an area with one on your phone, like I have, and it starts spitting out full sentences, and it says your name, and it says things that are pertinent to where you are at that time, then they work, But I've always heard that they don't. But then again, we had situations where, it says, well, we're in this spot, and these are the things that are happening here or have happened here, and then you find out by doing a little bit of research that stuff is true. Well, things are more apt to work than you think.
I find I have an SB7.
Okay.
I find my issue with it is that it's way too quiet. It, like, the volume on it is extremely quiet, even when it's like cranked up to like 30. Like, there seems to be no difference between whether it's at a volume of 15 level or a volume of 30 level. And the thing is, it's barely used, right? So it's not, but yet you put headphones on, it jacks up the audio. So you're like, okay, now I can understand what he's saying. Sounds like Charlie Brown's mom without it, and then put the headphones on, and you're like, bingo, that's what they're saying. We want a slice of cheese,
Yeah, we tried the SD method, when I was up there.
Yes.
And I had the darndest time. I could hear that it was saying things, but I couldn't understand.
Yeah, I would like to improve on that. One thing that I would suggest that I really learned from Flight 21 is lighting. You can have all the toys in the world, but if you don't have lighting being a very good flashlight, high lumen flashlight, those lights that you had on the stands, I'm getting those for next year. 100% I'm getting those for next year. And if you don't have good lighting, it's not going to work. Because if you're out, for ghosts, it's different. But if you're out looking for cryptids and you're in a Bigfoot area, you need lighting, man. That's the mistake that we made this year. That was one of the mistakes that I'm like, I have to change that.
Lighting is good for filming. You know, I don't know about the cryptid stuff. I mean, they're going to hide from the light.
Yeah, but if you have something making noise and it's going dusk to dark, it's pretty good to have that lighting so you can tell the difference between if it's a cryptid or if it's some sort of grizzly bear in my area.
Yeah, the grizzly bears are going to give a crap about lighting necessarily. That's why you have a campfire, is for grizzly bear and cats.
Very true.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
True. All right. Let's go. I think I don't see any more questions here. I'm going to read you another story here.
Okay.
This also happened on this date. Okay. Back in 1958. So 2 years after the Washington State incident, Lieutenant Charles B. Jenkins of the United States Air Force was flying an F-94 Starfire interceptor on a night mission near the Gulf of Mexico when radar operators detected an unknown target moving erratically along the coast. Jenkins, by the way, was vectored towards the object, which appeared to be descending and ascending in rapid controlled movements. As Jenkins approached, the radar blips of the F-94 and the unknown target closed in on each other, too close for comfort. Controllers later reported that the two objects merged on radar, appearing as a single return. Moments after the merge, Jenkins' transponder went dark. Radio communication failed. Radar tracked the unknown object for several seconds longer as it moved away from the merge point, but Jenkins' aircraft was simply gone. No distress call, no debris, no emergency beacon. Search and rescue teams scoured the Gulf waters for days, but nothing was ever found. No wreckage, no oil slick, no sign that the jet had gone down. It was, after all, as if the craft had been plucked out of the sky. Internally, the Air Force treated the incident as a disappearance, not a crash. Off the record, radar operators expressed unease about the behavior of the unknown target, and several spoke of the unmistakable merge event, an extremely rare occurrence in which an unidentified aircraft and an airplane occupy the same radar return space. Some investigators privately linked to it to other mid-century UFO intercept vanishings, include the Mantell case, but officially the United States Air Force offered no conclusions. Jenkins' disappearance remains unsolved, a chilling example of a UFO intercept that ended with one of the aircraft missing and an unknown that left the area untouched.
Well, it makes me think that, there's a species out there that likes to collect things. I think there was a Star Trek episode where something like that, a big craft of some sort, basically swallowed, the Enterprise. And so maybe it's something like that there is a species out there that likes to collect things, like the Predator, for instance, likes to collect skulls, different size skulls and creatures. So I'm wondering if there isn't something like that for real.
Could very well be.
Because we've had boats and ships disappear as well.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. So I often wonder, is it the, Bermuda Triangle type stuff?
Well, it does happen in the Bermuda Triangle, but I don't think, as far as the ETs are concerned, I think they probably just want to learn from the stuff that we have. I don't necessarily think it just happens in the Bermuda Triangle. Well, obviously it doesn't just happen there. It happens quite a few places, and it probably not just in the air or not just on the sea, but also on land. When things you hear about people missing, David Politis and the 411 and different things like that. So, it's quite possible we could get taken again and not come back home.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Here's one that we got about 6 minutes left. I want to get this one in. This is one of my favorites, and it's never been proven. Okay? That this actually happened. This is a Vietnam War legend. The story begins in the jungles of Vietnam, where a United States Air Force B-52 bomber vanished from radar during a night bombing run over Laos. Controllers at the time saw something they couldn't explain: a second object, bright and fast, approaching the bomber at impossible speed. Moments before the aircraft disappeared, the two blips once again merged into one. No distress call, no explosions, no debris field on radar, just silence. Command scrambled a covert recovery team led by Special Forces soldier William S. English to locate the missing craft before the Viet Cong or North Vietnamese army could reach it. When English's team found the B-52, the aircraft was remarkably intact, resting like a wounded giant in the jungle clearing, not torn apart like a crash victim. The strange details came when they entered the fuselage. The crew was still strapped in their seats, but they were all dead, their bodies showing bizarre signs of trauma, massive internal injuries, severe tissue damages, and yet no external bleeding. According to the tale, every face was frozen in an expression of shock, as if they had all seen something terrifying in the final instant. The avionics were fried, the instruments were dead. Whatever hit the bomber didn't leave a conventional mark. English reported that his findings to command only to be told the plane was to be destroyed on sight. Code books were removed, dog tags collected, and demolition charges were planted. As his team withdrew, an ambush erupted. Some of his men were killed, others injured, but English survived, eventually escaping through the jungle. When he later attempted to find or file a formal report, he found doors closed, records sealed, and superiors unwilling to acknowledge the mission had ever happened. The salvage team was disbanded, the story buried. To this day, the B-52 incident lives on as one of the most chilling and unverified legends of the Vietnam War, an encounter suggesting that something far stranger than enemy fire stalked the skies above Southeast Asia.
Okay, now, in most of these stories, we hear about an orb of light, right? And typically, when we think about an orb of light, it's not as big as a plane. It's usually smaller, basketball size or somewhere thereabouts. How does something that large take a craft, or let's say a boat, or maybe even a person, and make them disappear? Are they creating some sort of a gateway or a portal to bring that stuff through?
I don't know.
Because by themselves, they're not in that. See, that's the thing, Dave, is that we don't have the understanding of how that would be done. That doesn't make sense to us. And because that, you're going to have people that don't believe it. I mean, how does that even make sense? And we've heard stories about, well, I got in the craft, it was this size, but inside it looked like a stadium or something massive inside. We don't understand that. I don't have, other than, a parallel reality within that type of a craft. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to understand for any of us.
Uh-huh.
It really is. So, I mean, how we do it, I don't know. I really don't know how we do it. But these incidents are happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's the weird part. They don't seem to happen as much today as they did back then, but they did happen. And I'm wondering why that changed. I'm wondering what happened where all of a sudden they weren't hitting up, aircraft anymore. We don't hear about F-15s or F-16s or F-18s being surrounded by weird boogeymen type lights that are going to shift their flight trajectory. You know what I'm saying? We just don't hear that.
We hear about it, but I just don't think they're taking as many planes nowadays.
Well, that's true too. I mean, we hear about the incursions, some of them, but we don't hear about a jet disappearing. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
I think there was a video of 3 objects around look like a passenger jet that did disappear, but that happened like 12 years ago or something like that. But yeah, I don't hear about it much anymore, and I really wonder, the physics behind that sort of thing are baffling, and I'd love somebody to explain it to me.
Right? I'd love it to be explained too. I really would, because the phenomena is so weird when it comes to all of this stuff. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I just look at it like, I don't know if I'd want to do it. I really don't. But it is what it is. Extra small. As we say goodnight to you. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Extra Small.
I was thinking the other thing that I did here at the house was I put some trail cameras out in the house.
Do that.
And because I did that, I wonder if that just awoken something.
Could be. I mean, it's an extra small move, but what do you do?
I'm not scared of it. I'm not worried about it. I mean, it's fine with me. Something wants to hang around.
All right.
As long as things don't get broke and nobody gets hurt. One of the most recent items that I picked up here is this Zoom field recorder. Still got it in the box. Nope, I pulled it out of the box already. I have the box. But anyway, it's a 3-dimensional field recorder here.
Oh, yeah?
This guy, and it'll sit, for about 6 hours on a couple batteries and just record the ambient sound around. But the last one I had, I don't know where it went. It kind of just disappeared. I think I might have left it out down at Mount Adams when we took off out of there in a hurry last time I was there. But yeah, that field recorder is great.
I'll be with
Very
you.
good one. Say again?
I said I'll be with you in a second.
No worries, brother. You do your thing. It would be cool, I think, if near Flight 21, if we put that device out there, you can also plug in an external battery pack, and so it'll record for a lot longer time out there. But it would be cool to leave it out overnight and pick it up the next day.
Well, that's why it'd be nice to like camp out there, maybe not at the site, but maybe get an RV trailer and camp out there,
Exactly. Oh, shoot. What happened? That was weird. I think they're starting to mess with my computer now. I've got sage here. I've also got Palo Santo that I did before the show.
Good.
I like the Palo Santo a lot more than the sage. Going back to Virginia City.
Oh, when?
For New Year's.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah. It'd be a good time. Stay a couple nights and
Absolutely. Go for it. That'll be great. Absolutely. I like Virginia City. I find
I
it
do
fun
too.
being there.
It's cool.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to shut this thing down.
All right.
And to all of you, thank you for a great week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for T-Bone and Kitty and Pam and Matthew for the super chats, and T-Bone and Richard for the memberships. We greatly appreciate it. All right. Oh, man. Guess what I just saw on X? A massive Black Friday brawl. I have, oh my God. This just feels so good. Here we go. Hold on. This is what I'm talking about, people. This is America. Okay. This gives me hope that you guys are changing for the better. Hold on here. Thank you to Trinity for tagging me in it. Watch this. This is beautiful. Oh, attacking right in the cart. Let's go. It's on. I don't know what the hell is in those boxes, but man, must be laptops or something.
On top of the cart.
Look at this. Look at the old guy, the bald guy there, trying to go with the young kid.
Yeah.
He ain't getting squat. Baldy locks. Come on. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, I love this. Yeah. Yeah. Ripping them out of ladies' hands. Just the class. Oh, you have no idea how happy I am to see this right now. I needed this. This gives me hope that America is back. We're almost back. Hold on. I gotta see if there's any more. Black Friday Brawls 2025. Hold on here. Come on. Oh, what's this? What is this? Yeah, see, that's just a memory piece there.
Yeah.
See, look at this. That's perfect. Looting on Black Friday, burning down Targets. That's what we need. Okay. Let's get back to it. One video? Are you kidding me? There's only one video on Black Friday? Hold on. Maybe I got it wrong.
Remember when Cabbage Patch dolls were the thing? Everybody was brawling over those things, man. It's crazy.
Hold on. Okay, that's one. Let's do this one.
Black Friday, the post-Thanksgiving shopping frenzy.
What is this? Is this hipster Black Friday?
Faces a paradox
People
this
being
year.
calm.
Record
See, if you watch right here, this is garbage.
Sharply dropped.
This is absolute
Emerging
garbage.
in the 1980s, the day was traditionally marked
What
by
does this do to
pre-dawn
help
lines
people?
outside shops and doorbuster deals on electronics and appliances.
Nothing.
Yet underlying
Look
economic
at this. Oh, let's
indicators
just
suggest
walk
those crowds are
kindly
far less
down
willing
the
to
aisles.
purchase what they
See, this
browse.
is
The
exactly what we
disconnect
don't
presents a
want on
challenge for
Black
retailers
Friday.
who depend on the
Right
holiday
here.
season to drive a third
Don't
of
want
their
this.
annual profitability.
You want somebody
Nearly
ripping their
two-thirds of consumers
hockey
surveyed
mask
by
off
the
and going to
NRA said
town.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do we got here? Okay, that's the same one. What's this one? See, this is the way. See the police officers with their AR-15s? This is the way they should be reacting at every Walmart, Target, Best Buy, you name it, on Black Friday. And they're not, here's the thing, they're not going in for crowd control. They're going in because they want that laptop. They want that television. They want that PS5 for their kid. They're doing it right. All right.
Well, we haven't seen the best of them yet, I'm sure. Wait till tomorrow.
We're 24 hours in, and there's one video.
Wait till tomorrow.
Hold on. Black Friday fights. Hold on here. Hold on. What is this? There we go. Okay. Look it. Yeah. I love how the lady in there is holding a coffee and her phone, trying to get a box and a television in a brawling. Look at this. Yes, people. Yes, people. Oh, my heart. Oh, that's right. Rip it out of the kid's hands. Look at this kid. A lady's trying to rip it out of the kid's hand. Look at this little girl going in right there. She's like, I'm going to get one. No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Those are the days right there.
Oh, there it is.
Uh-huh.
Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yep. What do we got here? There we go.
That's a Costco.
Oh. Oh. Oh, it's over. You are not getting his bottled water for that one. That's nice. All right. What we got here? Oh, this is probably old. No, this is old footage. This is old footage.
And I think to myself,
yeah.
The song is going to get you in trouble.
What a wonderful.
Oh, Lee, you have no idea how that made me happy. You have no idea how that made me happy. Oh, hold on.
Pull the hair. Yeah, that's it right there. Those are tears of joy.
You're coming back, America. You're coming back. Oh. Whew. Thank you, America. I love you. I love America. It's a beautiful thing. On that note, everybody, we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. And on that note, good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.